My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
If you keep coming around, you're going to get in trouble, more trouble than you're already in. You are not helping your monitors. This is somebody that's engaging in violence with the demons that engage in criminal summoning. This is a psychopath that's under the fake I'm monitoring with the people. It's currently 8:43. She's engaged in what is soliciting, coming around and soliciting that which I'm not asking her for. She's gang stalking. 8DGP 709 is monitoring with her. This is a third party that's engaged in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police, just like the demons last night. And it's not a coincidence that while the entity is stalking by her, she's going to prison. This is P.O.C. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. 9HUZ740, engaged in what is conspiracy to murder with her sex partner, Jason Fields, as well, with her co-conspirator, UPS, the Ontario International Airport, just like they were when they were engaging in battery last night, and she enjoyed watching that. She comes and engages in what is gang stalking. All right, being helpful, offering that which I'm not asking her, and I guess she calls summoning the Ontario police and lying about physical violence that she actually engages in as being helpful. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C. This is the fake sun at 8:44 a.m. All right, this isn't a coincidence. Well, Tracy Banks is monitoring with the Ontario International Airport with the Ontario Police Department. And this is what she used: a fake conservatorship, fraudulent marriages, insurance policies, has not spoken a sentence about money that this agency and she has stolen from me, while she's coming around monitoring on some other irrelevant things. She hasn't spoken about a court case that she's going to be in, admitting everything that she was lying about. She's not talking about that while she's monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. She's going to prison. This is mental illness. She's talking about everything but what she needs to be talking about. This is the same street where she's monitoring at Starbucks at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and she's pacing. She's not talking about money that she owes me. She's not talking about that while she's monitoring with the Ontario Police. And this is failed witchcraft. Ontario police are going to prison. Tracy's going to prison. Her sex partner, Jason Fields, are going to federal prison. The entity that's stalking by commercial planes going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 8:45 a.m. Understand that that was a concerted conduct, as it always is. The Ontario police that engage in criminal summoning with the gang member at the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, they're going to prison. D. Souza and his partner, and the demon and the engaging what is battery on behalf of the same agency that's stalking right here under a fake sun while Tracy Banks pulls up monitoring conspicuously. Communicating a threat. That same agency committed kidnapping on May 29th, May 29th, 2025 with the same Ontario Police Department that engages in battery with the people of the state. All right? This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:46 a.m. This is Tracy Banks and the City of Ontario admittedly engaging in what is a failed sacrifice. And she's going to prison for it, okay? This is somebody that's posing a threat, and it's the same threat. Jason Fields is not coming into my presence. He's going to federal prison as well. He's engaging in this conduct, and Tracy Banks is gang stalking and not admittedly engaging in what is any sort of information about my money that she stole with the City of Ontario, with the people of the state, with Jason Fields, with Eric Spencer. Not talking about that, but coming around gang stalking me. Okay, the morning after, she's engaged in violence as an entity, because that's what that was. Tracy Banks engages in violence. And with the straight face comes around, oh, do you want me to take you here so that you can, and you're gang stalking me. You're not helpful, just like she wasn't helpful when I was documenting her gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is P.O.C. It's 8:47 a.m. The prizes, while Southwest and UPS conspiring murder with Tracy Banks, with the Ontario police, with the people of the state, the prize is federal prison. And this is what Jason Fields has been engaged in with her for years, targeting me in furtherance of murder. He's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:47 a.m. Just want you to see, this is where the entity has the fake sun at 6 in the morning, which would be during daylight savings time. That would be 7. I'm capturing the entity stalking. It's currently 8:45 a.m. That's 8:47 a.m. 9:47 a.m. during daylight savings time. And I'm documenting Tracy Banks gang stalking me at this Starbucks where the fake sun is already documented setting. All right, the fake sun over me at 1 o'clock, the fake sun over me at 11 o'clock in the morning. This is the pattern of conduct that Tracy Banks is engaging in with the demon-possessed people of the state who are being deported. They're going to prison, and so are the gang members of the Ontario police. Stalking ceaselessly in helicopter, just like they were last night when this entity committed physical violence together. That's the pattern of conduct. Tracy Banks is no mother. She's a serial killer. And so is her sex partner, Jason Fields, and so are the gang members of the Ontario police. All of that was concerted. There's no coincidences here. You want to engage in it all over the internet during the midst of an ongoing investigation, you're going to prison because you already lost. Okay, this is mental illness that is being exposed while their criminal system amongst the mentally ill shown to be very highly unintelligent and disorganized. P.O.C. License 78909Y1. Hurriedly starting the ignition. Impossible light on the ground. That's what that's for. Audible activity under the fake sun at ARCO. As I begin recording right now, this is a demon gang stalking in concert with the Ontario police as well, with UPS and Southwest Airlines, the Ontario International Airport, that's diving into this parking lot with commercial planes as though they forgot that they were acting like they were landing at the Stater Brothers parking lot while they were stalking yesterday. License 8 Edward, Indiana Paul 592. That's the ARCO employee gang stalking with the Ontario Police and Tracy Banks and the Ontario International Airport in the video that you just listened to, and so is the potential immigrant 7 Xavier, Indiana Yolanda 347 at 506 North Euclid Avenue, the Chevron, the Starbucks, the ARCO, the community, UNICARE Community Health Center. This is the intersection at East Street and Euclid where the entity is gang stalking in concert with Tracy Banks. All Tracy Banks did, just like the Ontario Police, engage in conspicuous stalking. They're always engaged. This is state surveillance. So Tracy Banks put herself on camera. She's going to prison. This is a mentally ill psychopath who, just like Jason Fields, these are demons who are mentally ill. And I'm breaking down not only their criminal conduct, their mental illness, where they thought that gang stalking was going to work out in their favor. That's because they are mentally ill. They're doing so under a fake sun, as though people are forgetting and no one's thinking about that. When you're stalking in that environment, that's proving that you're targeting as a bunch of demons who are in fact mentally ill. Nonetheless, Tracy Banks is conspicuously stalking on video at this same neighborhood where I'm showing you the fake sunset, the stalking by the Ontario Police that are also in that video conspicuously stalking with Tracy Banks. Where gang stalking isn't getting you any of my money, you're going to prison for stealing my money. 46080W2, license 8KUR 452. They're doing so while the entities engaging in surveillance with Tracy Banks, the people of the state having a stake in what is theft from me and my demise. That's why they're engaging in the state system in concert with the city of Ontario, in concert with the demon Tracy Banks. That's proven through Woodside Senior Apartments gang stalking me, which I've already shown. It's a population sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. And this demon-possessed population has lost. And by the way, common sense and logic and any healthy person would already know that seeking to force someone 8 UKJ 332 through violence, gang stalking them, battery, defamation, is never going to get you what you want with regard to what is criminal purposes under the law. So through violence, through criminal activity, you're seeking to accomplish a criminal act. And that's literally what Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and Eric Spencer, the people of the state that are targeting with the government, demons that are gang stalking, like at the OVITT Family Community Library. They have a stake in what is the government's intention and conspiracy to commit murder by gang stalking an American citizen, in concert with Tracy Banks, who has a fully established conspiracy to target me with the state. She's targeting me with the Upland Police Department, with the Ontario Police Department, with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. She's engaging in the pattern of conduct with the entity I've been documenting for years, and she did so on video at 537 North Euclid Avenue, just rolling up on me under the fake sun, as though she, first of all, has any authority. She's a demon. She's a feces eater. She's a psychopath. She's engaged in what is sexual activity with the Ontario Police Department, sexual activity with the federal government, Jason Fields, sexual activity with the demon-possessed people of the state, while she's engaged in what is gang stalking. This is just speaking to this puppet of Satan that's engaging in what is the criminal pattern of conduct as though there are no consequences. She is delusional. She's going to prison. She's engaging in this pattern of conduct in the specific environment with the government, stalking by plane, stalking by agency, doing so under that light source with the entity that's engaging in this, as I'm showing you the fake sun, and that airport stalking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just like I'm capturing at the Chevron. You'll remember, and I'll attach those videos, because this is where the entity is gang stalking with Tracy Banks is going to prison. All right, and so are all of her co-conspirators. Don't forget when she is gang stalking with Eric Spencer with the Ontario International Airport on this same street. Don't forget when she's crossing paths on the roads and the highways, and the Starbucks has impossible light shooting underneath that covered structure, that patio, where she's monitoring with the people of the state, who do so using commercial planes and helicopters and police vehicles, like the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport are doing. In fact, they fully expose their mental illness while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and doing it while Tracy Banks is operating license 9HUZ740. The people of the state are gang stalking in real time right now. They're doing so where the fake sun in the same location is setting. Speaking to Tracy Banks and that entire demented means of stalking is captured with regard to what are demons, and that includes Tracy Banks, who's had sex with a large amount of demons with regard to recruiting those that would stalk me and target me, who she has paid through my money, They've been receiving money that belongs to me to target me. That's relevant to those engaging what is taking loans out in my name to target me. Those that have engaged in what is criminal acts against me in order to frame me for it. Where the police are both gang stalking and trying to double masquerade as a police department, they've engaged in that with regard to targeting me. That is what is doing so in plain view with a straight face. Stalking on the roads and the highways, Ontario Police. Stalking in commercial planes, Ontario International Airport. Stalking at the 537 North Euclid Avenue bus stop. Doing so under the fake sun. Openly engaging, in other words, in the pattern of conduct, and doing so while she is threatening my life. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct on a ceaseless basis for years. She was gang stalking also, like I stated, on May 29, 2025, where the airport concentrates flight over Woodside Senior Apartments, where there are also no flights being maintained from the airport. There are also no takeoffs and landings over Woodside Senior Apartments, beside Woodside Senior Apartments, east or west of Woodside Senior Apartments. This is the entity that is stalking in that very foolish way that I captured on video. And the entity that is mentally ill engages in more and more of that. That's why you see UPS followed by Southwest Airlines, and it makes it equally stalking conduct by the mentally ill that are stalking in planes, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder. This is, again, the entity that is engaging in that pattern of conduct is the entity that is subject to routine mental examinations. I want to be clear, this is what is engaging in that pattern of conduct with regard to, like I stated, a fake conservatorship is relevant to the Ontario International Airport stalking me. A fake conservatorship is relevant to the Ontario Police Department stalking me. A fake conservatorship is relevant to Mickey of the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, and Gregory and Alexander and Alex and Myra and John and Yesenia, who can't even walk upright. She can't even walk without bending her hip in some unnormal manner, but she's still hobbling around, trying to pace around me, monitoring me, stalking, doing so in furtherance of murder. A fake conservatorship is why somebody like that would be so invested, and when they need to be concerned with what sort of medical benefits can you conjure up in order to fix your limp while you're trying to gang stalk somebody. And the entity's engaging in this while the entity's engaging in what is battery. This is relevant to a fake conservatorship where the Ontario Veterinary Hospital is engaging in the pattern of conduct. Criminal summoning. What is it that causes an entity that's engaging in what is gang violence? All right, you're engaging in what is violence. You are the one that committed an act of violence violating the law. This is what the Ontario Veterinary Hospital did with the third party, with the EJ 228M2, substantially similar. This license plate of this demon with the tattoos all over her neck and her face, looking literally like a Chucky doll. And she's engaging in violence on behalf of the Ontario police that were stalking in this video with Tracy Banks. It's the same entity. They're one entity. They engaged in battery. Let me entertain this for me for a second. What actor, other than a third party that is an agent of the entity that's conspiring your murder through a fake conservatorship, engages in breaking the law, battering you, and then calls the so-called police, and then is engaged in what is things such as, not only did they engage in what is calling the police after they commit the act of battery, why would you engage in that other than engaging in what is an agency? Okay, you break the law and then you call the police and admit that you broke the law? Is that how that works? Or are you calling the police pursuant to a pattern of conduct of targeting? So after you break the law and you know very well that the police aren't engaging in policing, they're engaged in targeting with you. That's an agency that they're engaged in. They're doing so in the specific environment. You can see the demons, their shadows last night all over the place, in every direction, while they summon the police. The psychopaths that are stalking in this video this morning with Tracy Banks, that are engaged in what is asking questions that they know the answer to, exhibiting mental illness just like they are while they're stalking under the fake sun. The mentally ill are those of the Ontario police. They're under the fake sun. They're engaged in gang stalking with the demons using commercial planes. These are the mentally ill that are going to prison. Their mental illness has blown up in their face, and you're all witnessing it, and they're going to prison. This is what's relevant regarding a fake conservatorship. Why would you engage in what is breaking the law and then calling the police? And then when you break the law and you call the police, that's very interesting behavior in the first place. But not only that, the entity, when they call the police, one of the first things that they're stating after they're the ones that broke the law, they're engaging in what is all manner of impunity and laughter. You better run, telling me that I better run because why is that, first of all? Where is it that you have some sort of knowledge as to why I should be fearful of the police when you're the one that's engaged in breaking the law? Where does that come from? Where does that knowledge, where does that audacity, where does that attitude, where does that haughtiness come from? When you have all this assurance that I should be scared when you're the one that broke the law and you're the one that called the police, and I should actually stand there with all manner of confidence. Oh, good, I'm glad you called the police for me since you broke the law and battered me. But that's not what's happening, and that's also not the sentiments regarding the audible activity of those demons engaging in battery. And why is that? Not only are you engaging in what is admittedly breaking the law, and then you're also calling the police, and then you have some sort of confidence that I'm the one that needs to be running after I haven't broken any law. Why is that? This is just a common sense breakdown, because those are the statements that they made after they engaged in violence. They did so while the Ontario police were stalking by helicopter, flying over the building. While they were engaging in violence, the Ontario police were monitoring together. And so were the Ontario International Airport in that video. That's why the demons are getting loud back here. Tracy Banks is going to prison. Southwest Airlines, UPS, they're going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted for conspiring my murder, which you see in that video. And the demons of the Ontario police are going to prison. That demon's name that stood there in silence, all right, the one that I'm supposed to be scared of after the people of the state provide an agency regarding what is violence and then summoning them, that's their role. They're going to prison. The reward is, the prize is federal prison. And Tracy Banks is engaging in a battery that I documented last night. And then she's engaged in gang stalking with that same agency, the same entity, this morning at the bus stop under a fake sun. They are all mentally ill. All of them are mentally ill. These are psychopaths who are demon possessed, practicing failed witchcraft. And gang stalking me is not getting you any of my money. Gang stalking me is no effective act of force. It's a conspiracy to murder, and you're going to prison for it. That's what's relevant behind a fake conservatorship and the Ontario police stalking me with Tracy Banks in this video. They're going to prison. Don't forget the entity sound using its lights, crossing path under that fake sun with Tracy Banks, all right, underscoring what is criminal summoning. While I'm referring to the fact that that agency, that criminal agency existed on May 29, 2025 with regard to what is lying. Oh, there was physical violence. Oh, no, there was physical violence last night by the Ontario Police Department, by this entity. Oh, there was no violence, however, on May 29, 2025, not by me. And Tracy Banks and the Ontario police that are engaging in stalking me obsessively, they knew that as well when they committed kidnapping, like this agency is routinely doing while they're stalking. And a fake conservatorship, fake death certificates, insurance policies with my name on it, insurance policies that have already been cashed in when the entity has been lying, stating that I'm dead somewhere. Oh, that's directly relevant to the Ontario police stalking and the Ontario International Airport stalking and the people of the state engaging in what is criminal activity and then having some sort of boldness. Where do you get this boldness to engage in criminal conduct and then you call the police and then you have some sort of confidence that the person that you're violating under the law should be scared? That's the agency of Federal Group Stalking and Monitoring, by the way. That's why they have that. Okay, this Chucky doll is going to prison. And so are the demons of the Ontario Veterinary Hospital. They're all standing around in Engineer Light, gang stalking with D. Souza and his partner, engaging in the pattern of conduct with the Ontario International Airport. That same entity gang stalking this morning with Tracy Banks, who's engaging in what is monitoring and is engaged in what you need to understand is that this is a witch, and she's engaged in heavy sexual relationships with the Ontario Police Department, who are demons as well, and they're very severely mentally ill, and you're witnessing their mental illness while they're stalking under a fake sun in a police vehicle with demons that are stalking in commercial planes. They're going to prison for this. And you're also not getting a check. The prize is prison. Prison, that's it. That's all that they're getting. They're getting prison. And you have Mickey at the OVITT Family Community Library. Guess what she's getting? She's getting prison. She's targeting me with the same agency. And I want to be clear, at 8:38 a.m. when she's on video and she's gang stalking with that same agency at the OVITT Family Community Library, not at 537 North Euclid Avenue where Tracy Banks is on video at the same time. Okay, under a fake sun that's over me while I'm facing Bethel Congregation. That's not over the 280 North Lemon Apartments. And it's not close, even while it's in the same city. And you also have the pattern of conduct because I'm showing you the fake sunset in the same city where Mickey and Tracy Banks and the Ontario Police, the Ontario International Airport, and these demons gang stalking at ARCO, Starbucks, the Ontario Veterinary Hospital, the UNICARE Community Center, this venue, this block right here that has no movement of the sun. It's setting in alignment to me where they're all engaging in what is surveillance and furtherance of murder. And that's what's relevant behind a fake conservatorship, incentivizing license 7 EKT 626 to gang stalk me as a state system, where they engage in criminal conduct and they have what is criminal assurance regarding the agency that they provide regarding targeting by that state. That's what's relevant behind that. And every single last one of them are mentally ill. This is the demon possessed. And they're going to prison. The prize is just like that video I said, it's federal prison. Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, she's going to prison. So is Eric Spencer. So is Shanita Ramiah McLean. So is Morgan Amanda Smith. So is Edwin Lamont Grant. Anybody that sat in court, you very foolishly did so. You witnessed Tracy Banks confirm your conspiracy regarding my murder while you're defaming my character, which is unsuccessful and legally irrelevant, but it's directly implicating you in a conspiracy to commit murder for profit. My money, my property that you've already had a stake in, you've already been receiving money, you sat in a courtroom and defamed my character. This is what Jason Arthur Fields is. This is like dominoes, because they're all going to prison, every single last one of them. Every single last one of them. They're engaging in this while Tracy Banks is engaging what is targeting through the entity that engages in violence, and she is psychopathic and delusional. As though I'm going to break. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to give up because you've been gang stalking me so hard, and so now I'm just going to go ahead and now this is proof that I'm mentally ill. You're right. You're right. There was a battery. You're right. I physically abused you on May 29th. That's just going to make all of the lies that they made up true when you're gang stalking somebody, and that's not the truth. It will always be stalking by the Ontario International Airport that has no terminal behind the OVITT Family Community Library, behind ARCO, behind the Ontario City Hall, behind the Bethel congregation. There is no terminals for the not for the police, but for the Ontario International Airport to be landing or taking off from east or west of the Woodside Senior Apartments, or over the Stater Brothers, where they're engaging in what is stalking in the same way that they are in the video with Tracy Banks, engaging in terrorism on video. She's a terrorist, she's an enemy of this country, and she also does so while having sex with those that are abusing their positions of government. This is the danger of the demon-possessed witches having sex with those that would like to be considered law enforcement officers. They're not. They are Jezebel spirits that engage in terrorism when they engage in and they solicit gang violence, like what the people of the state are engaging in. License 9 NCP 147, 8 VKE 299, license 7XIY 347 is Chevron, that's gang stalking, and ARCO, that is gang stalking, 8 EIP 592. The entity's maintaining those facts never change, regardless of how many officials Tracy Banks has sex with. Regardless of how long they've been engaged in what is lying about my character, it will never change what is facts that stand in isolation. And while these facts stand in isolation regarding targeting me, the entity's criminal, their motive behind lying on my character is exposed, because those facts are not affected by the gang stalking system that is established as a matter of science. It will never change the fact that the sun is both rising and setting at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Tracy Banks is gang stalking me. At 537 North Euclid Avenue, it's the same street. It's the same block between F and E. There's no sunrise and sunset that's going to occur on one block. She's surrounded by that evidence, and it doesn't change because the Ontario International Airport are full of demons that are unintelligent, and they're more obsessed with witchcraft than they are the logic and the absence of any strategy in court, proving that that airport has been targeting for years and further into murder with demons like Tracy Banks, and it is very relevant having a fake conservatorship. It's very relevant having fake death certificates claiming that I'm dead somewhere while you're also gang stalking me at the same time. Oh, that's directly relevant when you've got ongoing insurance policies, people that are cashing them out, people that are gang stalking me, the people of the state that have cashed in on my death, and I'm very much breathing, been maintaining an ongoing investigation, while the San Bernardino County Sheriff and the same Ontario Police that are engaging in battery as an entity, engaging in kidnapping. That's directly relevant. Oh yeah, while they're also stalking with impossible light, stalking under a fake sun, stalking as an agency, stalking using helicopters, sharing that pattern of conduct with agencies like LAPD, like Pomona PD, Fontana PD, San Bernardino Rialto PD, Upland PD. Oh, that's directly relevant. And guess what? Those facts don't change with regard to all of the ways in which the entity has defamed my character. That defamation, those kidnappings, those acts of targeting me, in other words, are directly relevant to what is this state system. Showing, oh, it's directly relevant that you've been defaming and stalking, obsessively stalking, while you're lying on the character of Erica Spencer, who's been maintaining an ongoing, very organized investigation. That's relevant too, that she's been documenting this in the background while you've been lying and stating that somebody that's mentally ill, who would never be able to maintain that, by the way. I wouldn't even be able to put my sentences together if I was as mentally ill as this psychopath that's gang stalking me is seeking to establish. Okay, because you have sex with the Ontario Police, that doesn't give you credibility. In fact, because you have sex with the Ontario police, you're a part of that entity that's stalking. You're the reason why Mike LORENZ is gang stalking as an agency, and he's going to prison. He's going to federal prison. Okay? In the same way that the puppets are stalking, that's the same pattern of conduct. Stalking me by helicopter, stalking me by agency, using police vehicles to do so. That's a pattern of conduct. And when they're engaging in stalking, and then on the 20 seconds later, they're in my face pursuant to what is criminal summoning, asking questions that you know the answer to, you're a psychopath, you're going to prison. You're mentally ill. Since you're so forgetful after you're engaging in stalking as an agency, oh, you forgot? That's relevant to your mental illness. It's highly probative regarding your targeting, but it is no evidence of ignorance. It's relevant to malice, and nobody is ignorant about that either. This is the entity that's going to prison. All circumstances, like I stated, is federal prison. P.O.C. Chevron and ARCO are monitoring with the Ontario International Airport, filling up their gas tanks while the airport's pacing. 7YOU891. They're all doing so, sharing mental illness under a fake sun. That's what Tracy Banks' problem is. That's what the Ontario police are. They are the demon-possessed together. It's just the demon-possessed that are in police vehicles that they're going to be snatched out of. They're in police uniforms that they are necessary as a matter of the public safety, snatched out of. They're going to prison, and this is an abysmal failure. It's an embarrassing failure. In fact, they engage in what are acts of violence. This is what they're doing. This is why they're engaged in harassment so heavily at the OVITT Family Community Library, because they're scared to death about everything that I publish. They're hostile, and they're psychopaths who are hostile. And your hostility is supposed to cause me to just forget that you've been conspiring my murder all day long while I'm supposed to get in her car today? After she's engaging in what is targeted, this is what Tracy Banks is engaging in. While she's, again, silent about what she should have been talking about. Erica, you have quite a large sum of money that I stole from you. Actually, I stole your identity, and I walked in court acting like I was you. And I also had your former friend, Jason Fields. By the way, I've been having sex with him for several years now, and he's been going in court and lying on your character as well, stating, because I told him, and we both came up with, doctored documentation to make you look like a drug addict, even though I know you've never done crack cocaine, PCP. I don't even know what all is out there. But these are the things she's not talking about. The fact that she's lied, stole my identity, engaged in fraud, engaged in what is theft of property that was left to me, not to her. And it's not even a close comparison. She doesn't have any right whatsoever. She doesn't even have any sort of skill set whereby she could maintain any sort of responsible ownership of property that belongs to me. I'm the one that has the legal education. I'm the one that's in the position under all circumstances to handle what was left to me. It was kept a secret, and not only was it kept a secret by her and the state and everybody she's having sex with that was helping her target me while I'm being gang stalked the whole time. She's not talking about any above that. She's not talking about a pending court case. She's not talking about the fact that she's already spent how much of my money. She hasn't talking about any of that. She hasn't talked about any sort of real property that belongs to me. She hasn't talked about anybody living in property that belongs to me. She hasn't talked about the existence of bank accounts that belong to me. She hasn't talked about the existence of what is content on the internet regarding my genitalia, what is pornographic films, where she's acting like I'm the one engaging in pornographic films. She hasn't talked about any of those things, while the Ontario police, this is everything that they're forgetting when they're stalking, because they're mentally ill. And it's all relevant, the whole big picture, everything at the same time, as opposed to what they want to. And what is it that you're looking at, even with regard to demons that are mentally ill? The fact that you're stalking as a whole airport is severe controlling evidence regarding your mental illness. Nobody else's mind state is at focus when you're the one stalking as an airport. That would always be the case. These are demons that have been engaged in what is failed witchcraft against people who succumb to it. That's not happening, and they're so mentally ill that they didn't recognize that years ago. This has been the perfect setup for the demon-possessed to be exposed as the terrorists in this country who are being deported out of this country. Understand, Tracy Banks is representing what is the impunity of those that are of immigrant status. It's the same pattern of conduct. It's the same lawlessness. It's the same hatred, the same obsession, the same criminal activity, the same criminal agency. They're just immigrants. They're being deported. Tracy Banks is being deported out of this country, in other words. Tracy Banks is represented. That's what I mean by that. Okay, this is a blackface demon. She's not an immigrant. She's a blackface demon. But Tracy Banks represents the lawlessness of the immigrants, and they're being deported out of this country. Tracy Banks represents the mental illness of the agency, the Ontario Police, and they're being disbanded. And they're being mentally assessed. They're being put in asylums and in federal prison. This is all that's relevant regarding the entity stalking me on video today. And the entity's engaging in that, well, all of that evidence, all of it at the same time, not just this one part of it. And then you're gonna, no. This is everything that she's not talking about while she's gang stalking. She's going to prison, and so are all the people that she had sex with of the Ontario police, kidnapping, criminal summoning, all those iterations of the P.O.C, those that are engaged in kidnapping, helping Tracy Banks. This is why Mickey and Sean Thrasher and Daisy and the demons of the Ontario police, Corey Walton, R. Guerrero, the gang members gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library in June 2022, claiming that I molested a child, that's relevant to a fake conservatorship. And they're going to federal prison. That's relevant to Starbucks engaging in kidnapping with this same agency, L. Edwards A. Casada, who's both under the fake sun at OVITT across the street at 12:13 in the afternoon and kidnapping me at 7:15 in the morning at the 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the sun wouldn't be over the same block, over the same person as well. That's relevant to a fake conservatorship targeting by that agency of the mentally ill, the demons, that are gang stalking, pursuant to a fake conservatorship and theft of my money. They're going to federal prison. The demons at Starbucks, Ocean, Amelia Patty, where they're exhibiting mental illness stalking on a daily basis, as I dug before they engaged in what is the climax, which is kidnapping with that agency, because that's what you're getting to. It's in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. And that's what was documented by Starbucks as of the kidnapping by Tracy Banks and the Ontario police on May 29, 2025. June 3rd to July 4th, 2025, it culminated in what is a kidnapping, which is a threat to the public while an entity is gang stalking like Starbucks is. And they're going to federal prison for that. And their mental illness is on the record. While they fail in defaming anybody, like I said, you cannot talk poorly about a dirty toilet seat while you are a demon-possessed, light-slinging gargoyle, like the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library, like the demons of Starbucks, like the demons of Woodside Senior Apartments. All of these venues engage in kidnapping under a fake sun, where none of this evidence that I just referred to that they forget about when they're dumpster diving with planes, diving like you're diving and landing at the park. There's no airport over here. Nobody forgot that, and it doesn't become less of a salient fact because you engage in it with 7 planes as opposed to just doing it once. You're psychopaths. They're mentally ill. These are the ones that engage in murder. UPS committed murder in Kentucky. That's what committed murder. Mental illness. They claim that the engine just detached. No, that was a murder committed by an entity that's keeping you under surveillance. Okay? You don't have any accidents like that. It's not happening. They're acts of terrorism. UPS is letting you know what UPS is engaged in. And UPS did it in Kentucky. That's how you're engaging in the pattern of conduct. You're engaging in massive surveillance, and then you also want to be looked at as having some sort of tragic accident in another state. Another state, by the way, that has a fake sun over them. That was not an accident. The fake sun is setting in Kentucky when UPS is crashing into a building full of people, murdering them. Not accidentally crashing to pursuant to a tragic misfortune with regard to the engine coming apart. No, this is how they murder people. This is how they engage in acts of terrorism. UPS is a terrorist. P.O.C, just want to make sure that you're aware of that, because the prize, like I stated, is federal prison. The terrorists of the airport, the terrorists of the agency, the Ontario police, the terrorists who are the people of the state. They're being deported out of this country. They're being labeled appropriately by the by the federal government. And you're talking about what is maintaining an analogous list to something like the Megan's list, but it's relevant to what is the federal government. The federal government maintaining a list whereby you can look up the license plates that I've gathered, the businesses, the state of California, the neighborhoods where I'm in, the addresses, and the information that's also going to be public with regard to a prosecution of an entity, with regard to your ability to look up on your own terrorists, because they're not getting past background checks. They're not they're not receiving government benefits. They're not staying in this country as immigrants. They're never coming back. They're engaging in what is going to be that's the demons that are not spending an extraordinarily large amount of years in federal prison. Okay? Your life is never going to be the same as a terrorist in the United States. Okay? The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they are doing so with regard to what is relevant. Tracy Banks' fake conservatorship, and this is the entity that's engaging in what is gang violence. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:34 a.m. where the fake sun's over the same ARCO the ARCO that's across the street from Starbucks that committed kidnapping on video at 7:15 a.m. And the Ontario police are gang stalking me at 8:45. And that's, again, all over the place with regard to the fake sun documentation that you have right there while I give you an example of that. But again, on the internet, I give you a sample, but you're talking about what is an elaborate and fully exposed, detailed, organized means of exposing targeting by the demon-possessed in a demonic environment where they are targeting together, a concentration of where is an environment where they're engaged in what is criminal monitoring pursuant to the conspiracy to murder, and fake conservatorships and fraudulent marriages that Tracy Banks and Jason Fields maintain is at the forefront of that prosecution, and they're going to prison, both of them. This is P.O.C. It's 9:35 a.m. on what is Saturday, November 22nd, 2025. P.O.C. Alrighty, here's the fake sun. That's not over the OVITT Family Community Library. Southwest Airlines is gang stalking. There's no airport. That's on what is Lemon Avenue. Southwest Airlines maintains no flights over here that are going to be landing. And remember, and also it's not even in alignment with the Ontario City Hall, because that's what they're doing when I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, and they're doing it under the fake sun. This is the Chevron. As the entity's doing this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll attach that video. This is surveillance 9LEA449, and they're doing so while I'm at Tracy Banks' gang stalking me at the bus stop over there. They were hovering right here at the ARCO. They stalk with plane activity, and they're doing so also clearly stalking because Southwest Airlines, that's taken off while I'm on Holt Boulevard, is clearly engaged in something different from what would be the same airport when they're hovering over downtown Ontario luxury apartments under a fake sun, of course. And don't forget about the kidnapping at 7:15 in the morning at the Starbucks while this fake sun is seen through this window, and it's still here. And that will be during daylight savings time, so that will be 10:36 a.m. That's the entity that is stalking. Tracy Banks maintaining a fake conservatorship is directly relevant to the stalking conduct by the City of Ontario. That includes the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. That's mental illness that's shared by Tracy Banks and all of the demons that are gang stalking, because this is surveillance while the government is stalking through the Ontario International Airport. And immigrants, like potential deportees 7XIY347 are being deported. Potential immigrants 6UYL297 being deported. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and they're not ignorant about a fake sun. In fact, they engage in that while they are doing so under things like a fake sun. That's also here, also setting as well. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:37 a.m. This is what the entity's been doing while I've been recording the podcast the whole time. Psychopathic pacing. That's what they do inside of the OVITT Family Community Library on behalf of the government. P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing that video while the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct, like I stated. This is what the entity is doing while Tracy Banks is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department. That duo is engaged in battery last night, and those demons are going to prison. Tracy Banks is going to prison. Mike LORENZ is going to prison. Jason Fields is going to prison. Everybody that defamed my character with regard to what is having a stake in money and property that belongs to me, because the demon-possessed surmise that they could, because apparently they think that the laws that exist are based on what is creating facts and circumstances as opposed to what are actual facts that exist in isolation. And no demon changes that. And no stalking conduct by the government is making you look like anything other than what is a criminal. You're not above the law, and clearly they're not even above any sort of mental competency test. They would fail it. They're stalking in commercial planes under a fake sun, and the entity's doing so as an entity. That's speaking to what is everybody that's stalking together, not just that airport when the fake sun is present. This is state surveillance, and it includes the immigrants that are being deported. It's 9:38 a.m. and 9NVS254. All right, Chevron is gang stalking through its corrupt business practices, meaning while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct, the people of the state are going in and making purchases as a means of stalking in the path on behalf of the government that's stalking right outside of Chevron with the commercial planes and the Ontario police. I captured them stalking with Tracy Banks. This is the ongoing gang stalking by Chevron. 9JPN398, 7MMN761. Chevron has the fake sun rising and setting, okay? The Chevron engaged in okay, big picture. I just documented it while subject to it by Starbucks. Chevron committed kidnapping. Chevron committed battery last night. ARCO committed kidnapping. ARCO committed battery last night. This is the entity that is stalking together. They're all under the fake sun, sharing in surveillance and mental illness. License 8LJN480 with the airport. License 9PQP075 with the airport. 78179G2 with the airport. P.O.C. All right, the entity is subject to what is massive deportation. The corruption of the City of Ontario, speaking to the corruption of the immigrant population that's engaging in domestic terrorism with that government. Okay, when I go to any neighborhood, when I go to Apostolica Prophetica, guess what they're doing? They're gang stalking. SPID3R. Ontario Veterinary Hospital is as well at 121 East E Street. They committed battery last night, and those gang members are going to federal prison. All right, the entity is engaging in confirming that. That's why I'm subject to surveillance by the government, which also is that Ontario Veterinary Hospital. It's not a private property. They're not private citizens. It's surveillance. And that's why you have the significance of a fake son and the government stalking, which is speaking to an entity that is stalking. And things such as fake conservatorships, fraudulent marriages to the targeted individual, insurance policies concerning the targeted individual, death certificates, especially when the target individual is alive and well, investigating you, and you're talking about that she's dead somewhere, and you've engaged in what is already cashing in checks for that. This is what Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and the people of the state, the city of Ontario, the state has already committed. While these fools, these baboons, these feces eaters are stalking still on a daily basis. There is no confusion here. They are so wrapped up in a federal case, it's not even funny. They're going to prison. It's not a discussion. I'm providing what is a study, okay, with regard to understanding, first of all, what's going to be relevant, what you're going to refer to in the future, because I told you. I told you what they are. I told you what they're doing. I told you how they operate. I told you how to know them. And it's not even so much about me, because Scripture is confirming what it is that I've said. Okay? You have the demon-possessed psychopaths. They're in a library engaging in mentally deranged behavior. Okay, that is the quintessence of Satan, okay? Satan that wants to appear one way, you don't even appear that way. I have so removed the illusion. They don't even appear. They don't look normal. They're not acting normal. They don't come off at all. They're bare bones demons, stalkers, psychopaths, sex offenders. 7PQF707. However, take away what is my damning evidence. Okay, the entity wants to appear one way when you are aware of that this is Satan, and that's how Satan operates. It doesn't get any more clear than a gang stalking mother figure. That's the person that's supposed to be protecting you. That's the person whom you're supposed to be protecting as an adult, because that's what children do. You grow up and then you take care of your parents. But you're dealing with Satan. Okay, that's literally the embodiment of what Satan does. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in this conduct as a society of stalkers. You only have that with regard to the demon-possessed. They are the demon-possessed, and in the same way, this is psychopathic pacing using commercial planes. This is what Myra and Yesenia, Alexander, Alex, Alan, the demon working for IT. This is what Sean Thrasher, this is what Daisy, all the employees, all they're doing is pacing. This is what they're doing with commercial planes while they're stalking back and forth and back and forth. This is all they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library with impossible light activity. The light activity that you see outside where they committed battery last night, you see their shadows going on, that's the light activity inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and all they're doing is pacing back and forth. It's mental illness shared by a population of demons that want to appear, and they can only do that when you are ignorant about everything and you're not nobody. You can never unsee it, okay? But upon your ignorance, you are being made aware of what is psychopathic behavior, mental illness that is shared by a population, and that's because the population is full of demons. They're demons. And these are the demons that have facts that are very inconvenient and that the federal government is not forgetting, and that are taking place in a court that witchcraft is not controlling. No, Tracy's not going to jump and have sex with the federal judge and get out of prison time. Fields isn't going to have some orgy with the bailiff and all the men in order to garner favor while they utilize witchcraft tactics. Him and his gay sex, that's not going to work. No spell work is getting out of what is this inevitable prosecution. This is an entity that's engaging in what is witchcraft even while they're stalking. Remember, the fake sun, presence, movement, all of them are pacing all around me. And they're doing so with regard to amplified audible activity and what is light activity. This is witchcraft. No witchcraft is stopping clearly what you're seeing. And this is the mentally ill, because they can't make that connection. They're demons. They're demonic spirits. So they can't make that connection regarding your witchcraft isn't working. It's not going to either. And neither will that ever work against what are facts that will always exist. Like the fact that that's not the sun over all the demons engaged in psychopathic pacing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. That's a fact. It will never change. Engaging in what is defaming me and stating that I'm a child molester, oh, that's just putting you in prison for criminal summoning. It doesn't change that it's not the son. In fact, they know what you are when you uttered such defamatory and malicious lies. Not only is it a lie, okay, they know that it's a lie. This is speaking to the malice of the demon-possessed as I'm prosecuting, because this is already known, but it's not, you don't prosecute and go to prison for what you know intuitively. You prosecute based on what you prove. And I've proven surveillance. So you're not only lying, you are aware of the fact that you are lying because of the surveillance that you're engaged in. And why, also, we can go even deeper and psychoanalyze the mentally ill, because you're engaging in a greater pattern of conduct regarding things like a fake conservatorship, where that state system is relying on what is the defamation of a targeted individual that they've conspired to murder, to try to falsely depict that person as being something that they're not in order to steal their money. In fact, they've already stolen it. They've been engaging in gang stalking with the OVITT Family Community Library, for example, in order to get away with what they've already committed. Now, you cannot tell the mentally ill, because they are mentally ill, that stalking, doing so in a manner that is very obvious to any pilot that would observe this at a distance, let alone the details of the prosecution of this government, that there's no planes that are taking off or having anything to do with the airport when you're landing at ARCO. So at what point are you going, are the wheels touching the ground and then you're going to drive the rest to the terminal and land there? There's no terminal. There's no property of the airport. The Ontario International Airport is not beyond what is Holt Boulevard. It is south of Holt Boulevard, while they're engaging what is stalking and dipping and diving in these planes, which progressively occur north as I move north. This is the entity that, and that doesn't change, but they're mentally ill. This is, again, not an unfair advantage, but it is basically, it is an inherent advantage, because these are demonic spirits that I'm inferior to. They are engaged in what is the practice of witchcraft, demonic behaviors, while I am prosecuting based on hard facts. And the hard facts are established while they engage in their demonic activity, and it's creating a pattern of conduct that doesn't change. And there's no lie, there's no, in other words, act of witchcraft that's going to deviate from what are facts that remain, which is how you prosecute. And that you're getting far from what is gang violence, where they come up and make up information and the gang members establish what is reality. No. The gang members are going to prison for terrorism, because that's what that's about. That's what that system is operating from. 6234 2G2. They're going to federal prison. Okay, and that's the bottom line behind Mickey and the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library exhibiting severe mental illness with regard to what is psychopathic pacing on behalf of the entity that is stalking by planes and helicopters. It's 9:52 a.m. Let me show you the entity that is stalking by commercial plane now that I am at the OVITT Family Community Library. Very mentally ill behavior. This is the entity that's American Airlines, just so that you could see. And this is the fake sun that's in the same position that it is at 8:38 in the morning when the Ontario police are engaged in what is criminal summoning. 8NYG342. And I want to be clear, this is different. While I was at the bus stop and the entity was stalking by planes, UPS and Southwest, they were hovering over the parking lot. They were engaging in this while the fake sun was over Euclid Avenue. While I'm at Chevron, the entity is hovering over this apartment complex right here, downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, while the fake sun was in the parking lot area in alignment to me. And as I continue north, the entity is now under a fake sun that I'm already documenting at 8:38 in the morning, when I'm documenting at the square, and the fake sun moves to be right here, and the gang members of the Ontario police, mentally ill, while they're targeting you, not talking to you, but they're also engaging in battery and then criminal summoning, and then they have some sort of false sense of confidence that you're supposed to be the one that's afraid when they call the gang stalkers themselves the Ontario police that do the same thing, stalking by helicopter under the fake sun. All right, this is currently 9:53 a.m. This is the ongoing maintenance of the fake sun. This is where it's at. I'm at this same entrance at 4 o'clock in the evening. 5, 6 in the evening when it's on this side of this same street. The entity has this fake sun at this apartment complex, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning during daylight savings time. The entity is progressively moving it north while American Airlines is stalking. There's no airport east of this, 280 North Limit Apartments, and there's also no sunset that would still be at the same venue. Don't forget, yesterday while I'm at the Stater Brothers parking lot, the entity is stalking while I am west of this location, doing so while I am arriving after 10 a.m. and the fake suns at the intersection where they're stalking in the path while I'm en route to this venue where the sun is not present. When you're looking at very highly deranged behavior, all they do is go inside of the OVITT Family Community Library to engage in what is psychopathic pacing. They're standing in engineer light right now. They're monitoring right now while the government is stalking by planes. This is state surveillance. which is removing the mayor. It's disbanding the Ontario Police. It's putting the kidnappers of the OVITT Family Community Library in prison. This is P.O.C. It's mental illness also. It's 9:54 a.m. at 215 East C Street. It's P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing that video, the entity progressively stalking from place to place and doing so under a fake sun, and the mentally ill go into the OVITT Family Community Library. And this is the entity that committed battery together as well. This is, again, the lawlessness, the necessity of martial law, the lawlessness that you're witnessing while the entity is engaging in that conduct and doing so in silence. You don't have to say anything as an entity that's gang stalking with regard to conspiring murder. All right, they engage in psychopathic pacing inside of the venue. They're engaging in bathroom monitoring inside of the venue. They're engaging in the same sick behavior that the American Airlines is engaging in, stalking as a population, as a state system, and furtherance of murder. And the fake conservatorship is directly relevant to the gang stalking by the OVITT Family Community Library and American Airlines, okay, which is relevant to a pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:55 a.m. and like I stated in that video, everybody that's silent, standing in engineer light, they can remain silent because every syllable that they utter is going to be used against them. But they can remain silent. They're standing under engineer light. The fake sun's in the same position it is at 8:38 in the morning when the agency, the Ontario Police, are gang stalking me through centering their visual attention only around the people of the state, where at 8:38 a.m. a fake sun is necessarily over the same apartment building. And it's also compared with where's the entity when I'm coming from the Ontario Village Shopping Center. The Ontario Police are stalking after 10 o'clock in the morning, and there's no sun over the entrance. We're a bunch of demons who are necessarily silent because the volume of the evidence is telling on what is necessarily federal prison. All right, this is what's relevant regarding what Tracy Banks isn't speaking about regarding fake conservatorships, where her mental illness is and her criminal conduct with the government is speaking to why such abuse of the laws are going to necessarily change upon what is reviewing and understanding how criminal surveillance is speaking to what is impossible regarding any sort of perceived benefit regarding things such as conservatorships, legitimate ones, against the will of any American citizen because of the government's criminal surveillance that it's been engaging in with psychopaths like the demon-possessed, okay, the people of the state. What the state of California is engaging in. The laws are going to change based on this targeting system, where, by the way, the targeting system is underway by the mentally ill. They're psychopaths and violent sex offenders, and martial law is going to deal with that. It is calling for an unprecedented basis for martial law. It is 9:57 a.m. at 215 East C Street, where American Airlines is engaging in gang stalking and doing so pursuant to what is a statewide P.O.C. The OVITT Family Community Library. Very mentally ill behavior. This is the entity that's American Airlines, just so that you could see. And sun that's in the same position that it is at 8:38 in the morning when the Ontario Police are engaged in what is criminal summoning. 8NYG342. And I want to be clear, this is different. While I was at the bus stop and the entity was stalking biplanes, UPS and Southwest, they were hovering over the parking lot. They were engaging in this while the fake sun was over Euclid Avenue. While I'm at Chevron, the entity is hovering over this apartment complex right here, downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, while the fake sun was in the parking lot area in alignment to me. And as I continue north, the entity is now under a fake sun that I'm already documenting at 8:38 in the morning when I'm documenting at the square, and the fake sun moves to be right here, and the gang members of the Ontario Police, mentally ill, while they're targeting you, not talking to you, but they're also engaging in battery and then criminal summoning, and then they have some sort of false sense of confidence that you're supposed to be the one that's afraid when they call the gang stalkers themselves the Ontario Police that do the same thing, stalking under by helicopter under the fake sun. All right, this is currently 9:53 a.m. This is the ongoing maintenance of the fake sun. This is where it's at. I'm at this same entrance at 4 o'clock in the evening, 5, 6 in the evening when it's on this side of this same street. The entity has this fake sun at this apartment complex, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning during daylight savings time. The entity is progressively moving it north while American Airlines is stalking. There's no airport east of this, 280 North Limit Apartments, and there's also no sunset that would still be at the same venue. Don't forget, yesterday while I'm at the Stater Brothers parking lot, the entity is stalking while I am west of this location, doing so while I am arriving after 10 a.m. and the fake suns at the intersection where they're stalking in the path while I'm en route to this venue where the sun is not present. When you're looking at very highly deranged behavior, all they do is go inside of the OVITT Family Community Library to engage in what is psychopathic pacing. They're standing and they're monitoring right now while the government is stalking by planes. This is state surveillance, which is removing the mayor. It's disbanding the Ontario Police. It's putting the kidnappers of the OVITT Family Community Library in prison. This is P.O.C. It's mental illness also. It's 9:54 a.m. at 215 E.C. Street. It's P.O.C.
Hi. I'll wait till you're done. I'm waiting till you're done.
Yes, it looks like I do have availability for the both rooms. First last name? Korean? With the I? With the Y. Y-D. And do you have your library card as well? That's okay. This is fine. And how many will be joining us?
Gang stalkers in position on behalf of the state that's obsessively stalking. This is a mental illness that's engaged in the pattern of conduct inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. These are the demons stalking with light, stalking in the path. They're all in engineer light and chit-chatting. This is the entity that's engaging in violence, summoning the entity that's gang stalking as a police department, centering their attention around conference rooms and books and the computer. It's the pattern of conduct under the fake sun. P.O.C., the fake sun that's still here, as I've also shown, after 5 p.m. This is the mentally ill. It's 10:03 a.m. This is exposing public corruption and martial law is absolutely necessary. P.O.C. Alrighty, you are paying attention to the ongoing pattern of conduct and the proper context regarding the mentally ill that would like to present as being law-abiding citizens or not demons, not stalkers, sex offenders, criminals, in other words, not animals in need of martial law. They fail in that presentation. Don't forget, while I'm capturing psychopathic pacing, this is ongoing stalking that's inside of a building, very deranged behavior, just like the entity is doing as an airport. The entity is maintaining psychopathic pacing inside of the library while they are stalking as a population, obsessing over me together. And this, I want to be clear, they committed battery last night together as well. And they're stalking, again, pursuant to the pattern of conduct that the government is maintaining through them. And you're doing so under the fake sun where American Airlines is also showing its criminal engagement in the conspiracy to commit murder, using, and it's relevant to what are things such as a fake conservatorship regarding American Airlines' criminal engagement in targeting me. The entity has the fake sun where David Quinones is stalking at the Stater Brothers and facilitating that massive system while that company is conspiring my murder as well. The Ontario Village Shopping Center where they're standing in engineer light. It's underneath the covering of that entrance, impossible light activity. The fake sun's in an impossible position where the entity is stalking by commercial planes as well, as though, again, the airport is getting farther and farther away, but they're engaging what is ongoing diving conduct as though there's no, and nobody is fooled by that. These are demons that are just stalking, and they're very unintelligent in doing so. That unintelligence is directly linked to their mental illness. Okay, so this is not just about me making fun. Absolutely, I'm laughing at Satan. But Satan's stupidity is because these are demons that are mentally ill. Okay, so the entity, don't forget what the entity is doing. David Quinones is stalking Stater Brothers and Ricky while the demons are monitoring it, stalking inside of a grocery store, psychopathic pacing inside of the library under a fake sun. Where yesterday, it's not even at this venue, it's remaining over me while I'm being gang stalked from Stater Brothers, from the Coin Laundry, okay, to what is this venue where the fake sun was absent the entire time. I'm showing you that fake sun over me and reminding you about the police training at 7:15 in the morning on July 14th. I'm reminding you about the criminal summoning at 6 in the morning at the 303 North Euclid Avenue across the street from the library where the sun's not even over the entrance, but American Airlines is stalking me while it's over me at this entrance. These are demons pacing.
This is mental illness by the entity that committed battery together as well. And this is psychopathic pacing shared by demons that use the administration door. They're very severely mentally ill, and they're going to be assessed accordingly. This is relevant for what is martial law. Martial law is relevant with regard to the ongoing pervasive mental illness by the terrorists that are fully exposed in gang stalking and the criminal conspiracy to commit murder. And their mental illness is also proven and witnessed while they're doing so in the public. Like everyone's watching them fail in secretly murdering someone, and they're engaging in that. And that's relevant to the mental illness by Tracy Banks, a delusional psychopath. She's going to prison, and so is everybody that engaged in thinking that sexual activity with her was going to protect you. No, it shows that you are at risk for some serious diseases, and you're also engaged in what is targeting me. And the sexual relationship is relevant because it's a sex cult. They're engaging in this targeting conduct together. They're demons, and they engage in what is targeting me while they have relationships that are, if you are asking me, if you're talking about, Jason Fields was never introduced to Tracy Banks. So where their genitalia fused, that's relevant to their gang stalking me together. That's how the disgusting sexual acts of Tracy Banks and Jason Fields and the entity, the Ontario police, the officials that are gang stalking, the people of the state, the demonic system that is targeting me. That's where those facts are relevant, because it is relevant to showing what is targeting amongst secret relationships that this entity, that this demon, Tracy Banks, has maintained, doing so under a fake sun. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 10:18 a.m. where demons are pacing around me inside of the OVITT Family Community Library on behalf of the government that's pacing using commercial planes.